What if I told you he still thinks about you? That every time he picks up his phone, your name crosses his mind for just a second, just long enough to make his heart sink. That he checks your profile when no one's watching, scrolling through your pictures, staring at that new glow on your face, wondering if you even remember him. But will he ever admit it? Will he ever reach out and say, "I messed up. I miss you"? No. And here's why. The male ego is a fragile thing. Society has told him that vulnerability is weakness, that admitting regret makes him less of a man. He's been raised to believe that he must always be in control, always be the one who's desired, not the one who's left behind. So instead of facing his emotions, he buries them. Instead of apologizing, he justifies. Instead of telling you the truth, he pretends he never cared. But the truth is, he does care. He just can't show it. Because the second he does, he risks losing the illusion of power he's clinging to. So he convinces himself that you'll be the one to break first. That one day, you'll get weak. You'll give in. You'll send that text, and he'll get to sit back, smirk, and tell himself, "She still wants me." That's what he's waiting for. That's what keeps him comfortable. But what happens when you don't reach out? What happens when you stay silent? That's when the doubt creeps in. That's when the fear starts to eat at him. Because now he has to wonder, has she really moved on? Did she replace me? Was I just another lesson for her while I'm still stuck thinking about her? And that's the part that terrifies him the most. Not just losing you, but realizing that he no longer has any power over you. Because men like him don't fear losing love. They fear losing control. This is why he won't admit he regrets it, why he won't say, "I miss you," because if he does, the mask falls. He's not ready to face what that means. He's not ready to acknowledge that you were the best thing he had, and that he let you slip through his fingers. Instead, he'll keep watching, wondering, regretting, but staying silent. So let him wrestle with his thoughts. Let him feel the void he created. You don't need his apology. You don't need his validation. You don't need his guilt. What you need is to remind yourself that walking away wasn't a loss. It was a power move. And if you're done looking back, done second-guessing yourself, done waiting for closure that will never come, then hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tight. Because what's coming next, it's going to change the way you see everything. So, it is time to affirm. Say it with me. I am done chasing. Feel it in your bones. Let it sink into every part of you. Say it out loud and save it in your memory. No more waiting, no more hoping, no more looking back. And now, the last step. Go and write it in the comments. I am done chasing. Let the universe hear you. Let it be known that you are no longer the woman who waits, wonders, or wastes her energy on someone who couldn't value her. Let this be your declaration, your moment of power, your proof that you have stepped into the woman you were always meant to be. Now, let's get into it, step by step, because once you take back control, there's no stopping you. Number 1. Silence is a woman's loudest answer. Let him hear it. You think he doesn't care, that he's out there living his best life, laughing, thriving, moving on while you're stuck picking up the pieces. You tell yourself he's forgotten you, that maybe you never really mattered to him. But let me tell you something. His silence isn't strength. It's fear. He's not reaching out, not because he doesn't think about you, but because his pride won't let him. Because the second he texts you, the second he asks how you've been, he has to face the truth. He lost you. And that truth is too heavy for his ego to carry. So he does what weak men do. He pretends. He acts like he's unfazed, like he never cared, like you were just another chapter he closed. But you and I both know the truth. He's watching, he's wondering, he's regretting. But he will never admit it. And that's why your silence is your greatest power. He's betting on the idea that you'll be the one to break first, that one day you'll get tired of waiting, tired of wondering, tired of the emptiness, and you'll reach out. Because that's what most women do. Most women can't handle the uncertainty, can't handle not knowing, can't handle the discomfort of being the one who walks away and never looks back. But you're not most women. Your silence is not weakness. It's a statement, a declaration that you refuse to be another name on his list of "she came back," that you are not here to be an option, a second thought, or a safety net for his ego. Because emotions are power, and the person who feels more is the one who suffers more. The one who reaches out first loses the upper hand, and he knows that. So he waits, he watches, he lets time do the work for him, confident that at some point your emotions will betray you, that at some point you'll crave his presence so much that you'll give in. And when you do, he wins. Because the moment you send that message, the moment you check his profile, the moment you try to resurrect something that's already dead, you confirm exactly what he suspected, that he still occupies your mind, that he still holds power over you. But what happens when you don't? What happens when you don't text? When you don't check his social media? When you don't give him any hint that you're waiting? That's when doubt creeps in. At first, he'll tell himself you're just being stubborn, that it's a test, that you'll come running back, just like all the others. But as the days turn to weeks, that confidence starts to shake. Why hasn't she reached out? Did she replace me? Did she realize her worth? Did I actually lose her? And that thought terrifies him, because men like him don't fear losing love. They fear losing control. This is where the shift happens, when your silence speaks louder than any words ever could, because suddenly he's no longer in control of the situation. Suddenly, he's the one questioning. Suddenly, he's the one haunted by the reality of your absence. And this only works if you commit to it, if you refuse to break, if you let him sit in his own silence and wonder why you're not chasing like every other woman he's ever known, if you become the exception, the woman who doesn't need his validation, his attention, his breadcrumbs of affection. Because real strength isn't loud, it isn't desperate, it isn't impulsive. Real strength is quiet, controlled, unshaken. And when you master that, he will feel it. So say it with me: my silence is my power. Feel it in your bones. Say it out loud. Write it in the comments and let the universe hear you. Let it be known that you are done chasing, done waiting, done feeding a man's ego with your emotions. Now, let's break it down, step by step. Because once you take back control, there's no stopping you. Number 2, chasing is the fastest way to lose, so stop running. You think if you just explain yourself, if you just remind him of what you had, he'll suddenly wake up and realize what he lost. That if you send the right text, say the right words, replay the best memories, he'll see the light and come running back? No, that's not how this works. The more you chase, the less he values you. The harder you try to pull him back, the faster he will run. Because desperation is repellent. It screams insecurity. It tells him that you don't see yourself as the prize. You see him as the prize. And the second he realizes that, he loses respect for you. That's human nature. We don't crave what's always available. We don't value what's freely given. We chase what feels just out of reach. Right now, whether you realize it or not, you are teaching him exactly how to treat you. Every time you double text, every time you try to remind him of the good times, every time you check in just to see how he's doing, you reinforce one brutal truth in his mind. You are an option, not a priority. You might think you're being persistent, that you're fighting for love, that you're proving your worth. But what you're actually doing is stripping away all mystery, all challenge, all attraction. You're giving him certainty, and certainty kills desire. Think about it. What happens when you watch a movie and already know the ending? It's boring, predictable, forgettable. The same principle applies here. The moment he knows exactly where you stand, he loses interest. He no longer has to wonder, no longer has to question, no longer has to work for you. But when you disappear, when you stop chasing, when you pull back completely, that's when his mind starts to work against him. Where is she? Why isn't she reaching out? Did I misjudge her? Did I make a mistake? Your absence creates space, and space creates uncertainty. Suddenly, he doesn't have that emotional safety net anymore. Suddenly, he's the one who has to wonder. He's the one who has to overthink. He's the one who has to sit with the discomfort of not knowing. And that discomfort, that's what makes people act. Because here's the harsh truth. No one forgets someone who is truly valuable. If he actually saw your worth, he wouldn't have let you go in the first place. But if he didn't, that means your value wasn't high enough in his eyes. And that's not a reflection of you. That's a reflection of how you positioned yourself. That's a reflection of how much power you handed over. So, what do? You increase your value. You don't beg. You don't plead. You don't chase. You rebuild. You level up into someone he would regret losing. Not by trying to convince him, not by waiting for him to see what he lost, but by becoming a version of yourself so powerful, so radiant, so unshakable, that even you wouldn't look twice at the person who walked away from you. Because real women, women who know their worth, they don't chase. They step back. They focus on themselves. And in doing so, they shift the power entirely. So say it with me. I do not chase, I attract. Feel it, believe it, write it in the comments. Let the universe know, let yourself know, because the moment you stop running after someone who isn't running after you, that's the moment everything changes. Now, let's get into what happens next, because this is where the real transformation begins. Number 3, emotional mastery. Why he's drawn to a woman in control. Have you ever noticed how the women who seem the least affected, the ones who don't beg, don't chase, don't let emotions control them, always seem to hold the most power? The women who move with quiet confidence, who don't overreact, who aren't glued to their phones waiting for a text, the ones who don't make decisions based on desperation but on self-respect. That's not luck, it's not manipulation, it's emotional control. Because the woman who masters her emotions masters the situation. The woman who doesn't fall apart when a man pulls away. The woman who doesn't beg, plead, or spiral when things don't go her way. She becomes untouchable, and that terrifies him. Because here's the truth: men don't respect emotional instability. They don't chase women who crumble under pressure. They don't value women who let fear dictate their behavior. You think he left because he stopped loving you? No, he left because he stopped feeling drawn to you. He saw your emotional reactions. He felt your constant need for reassurance. He sensed your fear of losing him. And that fear, it became suffocating. Because men are wired to be drawn to strength, to confidence, to women who are secure in themselves, with or without them. A man doesn't want to be the center of your emotions. He wants to be drawn toward your energy, your presence, your ability to handle life without breaking. And here's what no one tells you: it's biological. Men don't fall in love with the woman who needs them. They fall in love with the woman who chooses them, but is perfectly fine without them. They chase the woman who doesn't lose herself in the relationship. The one who can take a hit, stand tall, and keep moving. Because that is the energy they crave. So if you're sitting there, overthinking, replaying conversations in your head, questioning every move you made, stop. Every second you spend drowning in emotion is a second you lose control. And the more control you lose, the less attractive you become. You must become the calm in the storm. The woman who isn't shaken by silence. The woman who doesn't force anything because she understands her worth. The woman who isn't waiting for validation because she validates herself. And when you become that woman, people feel it. He will feel it. And suddenly, the power dynamic shifts. Suddenly, he realizes something that terrifies him. You don't need him. And that is what makes you powerful. So say it with me. I master my emotions. They do not master me. Say it out loud. Feel it in your bones. And now, write it in the comments. Let the universe hear you. Let him feel it. Because once you take back control, everything changes. And now, let's take it even further. Because this is just the beginning. Number 4. The power of mystery. Why he can't stop thinking about you. Mystery fuels attraction. It always has, and it always will. There's a reason why people crave what they don't fully understand, why we replay moments that feel unfinished, why we obsess over things that leave us with questions instead of answers. Uncertainty creates curiosity. Curiosity creates obsession. And when a man starts wondering about you, when he realizes he doesn't have full access to your mind, your emotions, your life, that's when you become unforgettable. Think about it. What happens when a book gives away the entire story in the first chapter? You lose interest. There's no reason to keep turning the pages. But when a book leaves you with questions, when it makes you lean in, makes you think, makes you wonder, you can't put it down. Now, apply that same concept to yourself. If he knows exactly where you stand, exactly how you feel, exactly what you're doing, there's no reason for his mind to linger on you. But when you pull back, when you stop handing over information so freely, you become a puzzle. And puzzles demand attention. They force people to think, to question, to wonder. That's why men are drawn to women who maintain an element of mystery. Women who don't overshare. Women who don't broadcast their every thought and feeling. Women who don't make it too easy to be figured out. Because the second a man believes he has nothing left to discover about you, he stops being curious. And the second he stops being curious, he stops chasing. You see, when you withhold certain pieces of yourself, not in a manipulative way, but in a way that makes him earn deeper access to your world, you create an emotional tension that keeps him hooked. He starts rethinking everything, starts questioning whether he truly knew you at all, starts wondering what you're doing, who you're with, and, most importantly, whether you've already moved on. And the moment a man starts wondering about you is the moment he starts feeling something for you again. Because mystery forces investment. The less he knows, the more effort he has to put in to figure it out. And the more effort he puts in, the more emotionally involved he becomes. Right now, you might be making the mistake of giving too much away. You post about your feelings. You let your emotions spill out in conversations. You make it too obvious that you're still there, still thinking about him, still hoping he'll notice. And in doing so, you remove the very thing that could pull him back in: uncertainty. You have to remember, men don't value what they don't have to work for. So if you want to shift the power dynamic, stop being an open book. Let him guess what you're feeling instead of confirming it. Let him wonder what's going on in your mind instead of spilling it all out. Let him feel your absence instead of reassuring him that you're still waiting. Because the moment he feels uncertain about where he stands with you, everything changes. He'll check your profile more than he admits. He'll read into your silence. He'll analyze your actions, your energy, the way you carry yourself. And before he knows it, you are the one living rent-free in his mind. And here's the most powerful part. When you embrace mystery, you don't just regain control, you also regain yourself. Because you're no longer living in reaction to him. You're no longer proving, explaining, justifying. You're moving in silence, focusing on yourself, keeping your world private and selective. And in doing so, you're reminding yourself of something you may have forgotten along the way. You are the prize. So, stop explaining, stop proving, stop chasing. Let him wonder, let him feel the uncertainty, let his mind do the work for you. Because trust me, once he starts questioning whether he ever really had you, he won't be able to stop thinking about you. Say it with me. I move in silence. I let them wonder. Feel it. Believe it. And now, write it in the comments. Let the universe know that you are the mystery that no man will ever fully solve. And now, let's take it a step further, because this is where the real shift happens. Number 5. Rebuilding your value. Become the woman he'll never replace. The best revenge, glowing up so hard that he has no choice but to regret losing you, But here's the catch. You don't do it for him. You don't do it to prove anything. You do it for yourself. Because when you evolve for you, that's when you become truly unreplaceable. Right now, you might be thinking, how do I make him regret leaving? How do I make him see what he lost? Simple. You stop focusing on him entirely. You shift your energy from overthinking to elevating. You step out of that space of waiting, wondering, hoping, and you step into a version of yourself that is so strong, so magnetic, so powerful, that his only option is to watch in silence and regret. Because here's what most women don't realize. Men regret losing women who level up after them. When he sees that you're thriving, physically, mentally, financially, when he sees that you're glowing, that your energy has shifted, that your world didn't crumble without him, but actually got better, that's when it hits him. That's when he realizes he lost someone valuable. And that realization, it haunts him. Because most men don't expect you to grow without them. They expect you to stay stuck, to struggle, to mourn their absence while they move on effortlessly. They expect you to chase, to break, to be affected. But when you do the opposite, when you rise, when you evolve, when you step into a version of yourself that he never even got to experience, that's when the regret sets in. But here's the secret. You don't do it for him. You don't improve to make him jealous. You don't glow up to get back at him. Because when your motivation is fueled by revenge, your energy still belongs to him. And that's the opposite of power. Real self-improvement happens when you say, I don't care if he watches. I don't care if he regrets it. I'm doing this because I deserve it. And when you start making moves from that place, everything changes. Your energy shifts. You become more attractive, not just to him, but to everyone. Your confidence grows. Your standards rise. You start walking into rooms differently, speaking differently, carrying yourself like a woman who knows she is the prize. And trust me, he'll feel that shift. He'll check your profile and see a version of you he no longer has access to. He'll hear about your growth through mutual friends. He'll realize that the woman he lost is not the same woman he left. She's 10 times better. And that thought, it will eat him alive. Because now the power dynamic has shifted. Now, you're no longer the one wondering, does he miss me? Now, he's the one wondering, did I make the biggest mistake of my life? But by then, it won't even matter to you anymore. Because the version of you that exists after him is so focused, so powerful, so deeply in love with her own life, that his regret is nothing but background noise. And that's the real win. So stop waiting. Stop wondering if he'll notice. Stop looking back. Start rebuilding. Start investing in yourself. Start leveling up so high that even you can't believe how far you've come. And say it with me, I evolve for myself, not for revenge. Now, write it in the comments. Let the universe know. Let yourself know. Because the moment you truly embrace this, that's the moment you become unreplaceable. And now, let's talk about what happens next. Because this transformation is just getting started. Number 6. The psychological trigger. How to make him regret losing you. Regret isn't about missing you. It's about realizing he no longer has power over you. As long as he believes you're still waiting, still checking his profile, still replaying old memories, still secretly hoping he'll come back, he's comfortable. He doesn't have to question his decision. He doesn't have to second-guess walking away, because in his mind, you're still there. And that means he's still in control. But the second that changes, the moment you stop engaging, stop reacting, stop caring, that's when his confidence starts to crumble. Because now, he's not so sure anymore. He starts wondering, wait, has she moved on? Is she seeing someone else? Did she realize she was too good for me? Was I the one holding her back? And that doubt, that's what triggers regret. Because men don't regret losing women who sit around waiting. They regret losing the ones who walk away and never look back. You have to understand, his biggest fear isn't losing you. It's losing his hold over you. And that's exactly what happens when you stop playing the game. When you stop checking his social media. When you stop responding to breadcrumbs. When you stop waiting for an apology that will never come. When you stop giving him any sign that his presence or his absence affects you. That's when the regret hits. Because suddenly he realizes that the safety net he thought he had, gone, and that terrifies him. Because now he's the one left with unanswered questions. He's the one overthinking. He's the one feeling uncertain about where he stands. And uncertainty breeds obsession. You see, people only chase what feels just out of reach. And the moment he senses that you're completely gone, not faking it, not playing games, but genuinely detached, he starts feeling something he never expected to feel. Regret. Because the one thing men hate more than anything, feeling replaced. And trust me, he'll wonder if that's what happened. But by the time he realizes his mistake, you won't even care anymore. Because the version of you that exists now is too busy growing, thriving, and evolving to waste a second looking back. And that's the real flex. So say it with me. I am the one who got away. Feel it. Own it. And now, write it in the comments. Because the moment you fully embrace this, you become unforgettable. And now, let's get into the final piece, because once you master this, there's no turning back. Number 7, the final test. If you still care, you haven't let go. True detachment isn't about pretending. It's not about acting like you don't care while secretly checking his profile, wondering if he regrets losing you. It's not about waiting for that one sign, that one message, that one moment where he finally realizes your worth. True detachment means you genuinely don't care anymore. If you're still hoping for a text, still waiting for an apology, still wondering if he's thinking about you, then you haven't moved on. You're still emotionally tied to him, and as long as he occupies space in your mind, he still has power over you. But here's the truth most people don't want to admit. Closure doesn't come from him. It doesn't come from one last conversation. It doesn't come from hearing him say, "I was wrong." It doesn't come from knowing he regrets losing you. Closure comes from you. It comes the moment you realize that you don't need him to validate your worth, that you don't need his guilt, his remorse, his attention to move forward. It comes when you understand that the past is done. It doesn't need to be analyzed, picked apart, or explained. It just needs to be let go. So ask yourself, are you truly free? If he texted you right now, would you feel anything? Would your heart race? Would you hesitate before responding? Would you read into his words, overanalyze, wonder if maybe, just maybe, this is the moment he finally gets it? If the answer is yes, then there's still a part of you that's holding on, and that's okay. But you need to face it, because until you do, you're only fooling yourself. Letting go isn't about blocking someone or deleting pictures. It's about no longer needing the past to give you peace. It's about waking up and not caring whether he thinks about you, whether he regrets you, whether he ever truly understood what he lost. Because the truth, it doesn't matter anymore. The only thing that matters is you, your peace, your energy, your future. When you stop seeking closure, when you stop looking for validation, when you stop waiting for the day he finally realizes what he lost, that's when you win. That's when you become free. And here's the most powerful part. Your growth becomes the loudest signal that you've moved on. Because when a woman is truly done, you can see it in her energy. She doesn't need to announce it. She doesn't need to prove it. She doesn't need to post about it, talk about it, or seek revenge. She just moves forward, effortlessly, unapologetically, with zero attachment to the past. And that's the moment you step into your power. Because when you let go completely, the universe responds. New doors open, opportunities come. You attract healthier relationships, better experiences, and a life that is so full, so aligned, so whole, that looking back would feel like insanity. So ask yourself right now, are you ready to let go? Not just halfway, not just for show. Are you ready to truly release everything that no longer serves you? If so, say it with me. I release the past. I step fully into my power. Say it out loud. Feel it in your bones. Write it in the comments and let the universe hear you. Because once you declare it, once you truly believe it, there's no turning back. And now, it's time to step forward into the life that's waiting for you. Number 8. Why he's watching you but can't reach out. He's watching. You may not see it, but trust me, he's watching. He's checking your profile when no one's around, scrolling through your pictures, staring at the new glow on your face, wondering if you even remember him. Maybe he's replaying old memories, revisiting the moments when he still had you, wondering how he let it all slip away. But will he reach out? Will he finally admit he was wrong? No, because reaching out would mean facing the one thing his ego can't handle, the truth. The truth that he's no longer in control. The truth that you don't need him anymore. The truth that you've actually moved on. And that terrifies him. So instead of admitting it, he stays silent. He pretends. He acts like he's unbothered, like he never cared, like you were just another phase in his life. But deep down, he knows the reality. He's losing someone valuable. And that realization, it's eating him alive. Because as long as he believes you're still emotionally tied to him, As long as he thinks there's a chance you're still waiting, still watching, still hoping, he feels safe. He doesn't have to regret anything. He doesn't have to second-guess his decisions, because in his mind, you're still there. But when that illusion shatters, when he sees that you've gone silent, not because you're hurt, not because you're playing games, but because you've genuinely detached, that's when panic sets in. He starts overthinking. Wait, why isn't she checking up on me? Why isn't she reacting? Has she replaced me? Did she finally realize she was too good for me? And that doubt, that sinking feeling in his chest, that's the regret creeping in. Because for the first time, he's the one left with unanswered questions. For the first time, he's the one watching you, but with no access, no control, no certainty. And here's what makes it even worse. His pride won't let him fix it. He knows that reaching out would mean surrendering his power. It would mean admitting that he underestimated you, that he walked away from someone irreplaceable, and instead of swallowing his pride and facing that reality, he does what weak men do. He stays silent and hopes you'll break first. But you won't, because you're not the same woman he left. You've grown, you've healed, you've stepped into your power so completely that the thought of waiting for anyone to validate your worth feels laughable. And that's what makes you truly untouchable. Because when a man realizes he's lost a woman who doesn't look back, there is no greater regret. So, let him watch, let him wonder, let his own silence haunt him, because by the time he realizes the weight of his mistake, it's already too late. So say it with me: I do not wait, I do not chase, I move forward. Say it loud, feel it in your bones. And now, write it in the comments. Let the universe hear you. Let him feel it. Because once you step into this mindset, you'll never look back again. Number 9. The ultimate Stoic mindset. She's not the prize, you are. You've been taught a lie your whole life. You've been told that a man's attention is something to earn, that love is something you must prove yourself worthy of, that if he leaves, if he pulls away, if he treats you like an option, it must mean you weren't enough. That ends today. Because the moment you stop seeing him as the prize, the moment you finally understand that you are the one to be pursued, not the one doing the chasing, is the moment you step into your true power. And that power, it changes everything. A woman who knows her worth does not seek validation. She does not beg for love. She does not shrink herself to fit into a man's world. She stands firm. She walks away when she isn't valued. She holds her head high. Not because she's playing games, not because she's trying to win a breakup, but because she understands something that most women never realize. A man does not define her value. In the philosophy of Stoicism, there is one simple truth that separates the strong from the weak. Your worth isn't determined by anything external, not by a man's affection, not by his attention, not by whether or not he chooses you. True strength comes from within, from knowing that no matter who walks in or out of your life, you remain the same powerful, valuable, unshaken woman. And when you start thinking this way, when you stop needing a relationship to validate you, that's when you become irresistible. Because confidence is magnetic, independence is intoxicating, and the moment you stop making him the center of your world, the moment you stop seeing his presence as some kind of gift, he will feel it. And that shift? It will terrify him. Because men can feel when a woman no longer needs them. They can sense when their absence doesn't shake you, when their silence doesn't break you, when their distance doesn't make you desperate. It makes you stronger. And a woman who is truly strong, truly self-sufficient, she is a woman he can never replace. You are not here to chase. You are here to choose. Somewhere along the way, you forgot that. Society made you forget. You've been conditioned to believe that love is about effort, that the more you give, the more you prove, the more you do, the more valuable you are. That if you're just patient enough, he'll change. That if you love him hard enough, he'll see your worth. That if you're the perfect woman, he'll finally stop looking elsewhere and choose you? No, because the moment you start proving, the moment you start convincing a man of your worth, you have already lost the game. Queens don't audition. They don't apply for the role of worthy woman. They don't stand in line for a man's approval, and neither should you. If you want to know the secret to being the woman who is chaste, not forgotten, understand this. Men don't value what they don't have to work for. When you give too much too soon, when you place his happiness above your own, when you keep proving, over-explaining, over-giving, you strip yourself of your power. Because in his mind, the moment you prove your worth is the moment he assumes it's not that high to begin with. But when you know your value and refuse to negotiate it, when you walk away the second he treats you as an option, when you stop proving, stop explaining, stop giving more than he's earning, that's when he feels your loss. That's when he realizes that you weren't just another woman. You were the woman he should have fought for. And by the time he understands that, you'll be so far ahead in your journey of self-growth, so deeply immersed in your own happiness, so uninterested in anything that doesn't meet your standards, that it won't even matter anymore. What makes a woman truly powerful? Not beauty, not status, not wealth, detachment, the ability to say, I am enough on my own, because the second you stop needing him, the second you remove him from the pedestal and put yourself on it, the second you fully embrace the idea that he is not the prize you are, that's the second everything shifts. You stop overthinking. You stop second-guessing your decisions. You stop wondering if he regrets losing you, because you simply don't care anymore. And that is where your true power lies. Let's make something clear. You are not doing this to make him regret anything. You are not leveling up so he notices. You are not evolving so he misses you. You are not becoming stronger so he chases you. You are doing it for you. Because the moment you start living for yourself, fully, unapologetically, without hesitation, that's the moment you step into your highest self. And that woman, she doesn't chase, she doesn't wait, she doesn't wonder, she chooses. If you're ready to step into this mindset, if you're done playing small, done waiting, done giving away your power, then say this out loud. I am the prize. I do not chase. I choose. Say it again. And this time, feel it. Write it in the comments. Let the universe hear you. Let yourself hear you. Because once you truly believe this, once you fully embrace it, you will never look back again. And now, let's talk about what happens when you fully embody this new version of yourself. Because this is where everything changes. And that brings us to the truth. You were never the one who needed to prove your worth. When you stop chasing, stop waiting, and fully embrace your power, everything shifts. If this message hit deep, like, subscribe, and share this with a queen who needs to hear it. Stay strong.